Alhamdulillah wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam amma ba'd. We're going to read a hadith which illustrates for us or shows us the importance of many issues related to the wudu, related to tahara, related to purification, to purify yourself. When we purify ourselves, it's a condition for what? What's purification a condition for what, Sana? When we purify ourselves, when we wash ourselves, that's a condition for what? I want Sana. Huh? We have to do it before we do what? We have to make purification. Before what? Oh, Allah understand, huh? For praying. You have to purify yourself before you make salat. So don't forget that. That's a condition. You're going to be tested on that too. You're going to have your test. So I advise you to start taking notes. Right. So this hadith is going to illustrate us some of the different issues, or tell us about some of the different issues related to purification. This is the hadith of Abi Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And remember, we said something about Abu Hurairah before, that he radiallahu ta'ala anhu who had the most hadith? Abu Hurairah, jazakallah khairan, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, wa radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'een, meaning the Sahaba, may Allah be pleased with them all. And عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: إذا توضأ أحدكم فليجعل في أنفه ماء ثم ليستنثر ومن يستجمر فليطهر وإذا استيقظ أحدكم من نومه فليغسل يديه قبل أن يدخلهما في الإناء ثلاثا فإن أحدكم لا يدري أين باتت يده وفي لفظ مسلم فليستنشق بالمنخريه من الماء وفي اللفظ من توضأ فليستنشق, and that's in Bukhari and Muslim. In this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and we're just going to we'll talk very briefly, especially because of our level, that we'll talk very quickly about some benefits of this hadith, but we'll give you first the translation. We need to know what it means. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrated on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you make wudu, إذا توضأ أحدكم فليجعل في أنفه ماء, that if one of you makes wudu, he should put water in his nose. That shows us that the nose is considered a part of the face in Islam. Of course, this is from the customs of most people. They consider the nose is a part of the face. But we know specifically that from this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that if you're going to make wudu, then wash your nose out. So that lets us know, as some of the ulama say, that the nose is part of the face and that you have to wash it out for wudu. That it is wajib. Okay? ثُمَّ لَيَسْتَنْثِرْ. Then he said, then you should blow it out. Okay? So put water, if one of you is going to make wudu, put water in his nose and then blow it out. وَمَنْ يَسْتَجْمَرَ فَلْيُطْهِرْ. And then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the person who needs to make istijmar. Does anybody remember what istijmar means? Istijmar, that means when we use rocks. We use rocks for what? What do you use rocks or pebbles for, huh? To wash ourselves. Jazakallah khairan. And we call that what in Arabic? Istijmar. Jazakallah khairan. What does istijmar mean? Huh? Good. To wash yourself with rocks. Istijmar you don't do with, it's not with water. Istijmar means you are doing it with, you're using pebbles or stones or something to clean yourself in the case of if you don't have water, or if you have water and you want to use the stones as well. So you can use both. That is legislated in Islam. It's permissible that you do that. Okay? So The Prophet ﷺ said, وَإِذَا اسْتَجْمَرَ أَوْ مَنْ اسْتَجْمَرَ فَلْيُوتِرْ. So the person who makes istijmar is with what again? With rocks. That it should be witr. Witr means that it should be an odd number. And we talked about this before. It should be an odd number if you use rocks, Rashad. And what is the lowest amount of rocks that we can use in accordance to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, as is mentioned in another hadith? 3. Jazakallah khairan, Allah yazid al-khair, wal-'ilm nafi, wa rizqan tayyib, wa 'amalan mutaqabbalan. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So, the lowest amount of rocks that we can use is 3. The lowest amount of rocks or pebbles we can use is 3. That means, and it has to be witr. From the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, it should be witr. So it means if you use 3, and 3 is not enough, Sana, how many should you do? It has to be an odd number. Because the Prophet ﷺ said witr. Witr means odd. If 3 rocks is not enough, how many should you use next? Sana, let me see. 5, mashallah. Allah yubarak feek. And if 5 is not enough, Rashad, how many should you use?
7.
MashaAllah, Allah yubarak feekum, Allah yuzidukum khair. Ahsant. Now, so if 7 isn't enough, how many should you stop on? 9. Jazakallah khairan. So you should always try to make witr. And why do we know we have to make witr? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, وَمَنْ اسْتَجْمَرَ فَلْيُوتِرْ. Whoever does istijmar, then he should do witr. He should do the odd number. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَإِذَا اسْتَيْقَظَ أَحَدُكُم مِّن نَوْمِهِ فَلْيَغْسِلْ يَدَيْهِ قَبْلَ أَنْ يُدْخِلَهُمَا فِي الْإِنَاءِ ثَلَاثًا فَإِنَّ أَحَدَكُمْ لَا يَدْرِي أَيْنَ بَاتَتْ يَدُهُ. So the Prophet ﷺ said that if one of you wakes up from sleep, Neda, if they wake up from sleep, that they should wash their hands before they put them in their bucket or whatever to make wudhu. And so this ruling, this relates to people who are going to use buckets or some item to make wudhu. And even if you're using a sink, this is sunnah. You should do this. It's good. But the scholars differ. Some they say it's an obligation. Some say it's sunnah or it's mustahab. It's recommended. But what we can take from this hadith is that the Prophet ﷺ told us do it, so we should do it. And you're going to get ajr for doing it, regardless. So try to make that your habit. And I think most of us, we make that a habit. When we turn on the water, one of the first things we do, we wash our hands. And then we wash our mouth and our nose. Okay? So that shows us, and that's in accordance with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said, especially when you wake up, إِذَا اسْتَيْقَظَ. Istakada means when one of you wakes up. It means to wake up. إِذَا اسْتَيْقَظَ أَحَدُكُم مِّن نَوْمِهِ. This is from sleep. So if one of you wakes up from their sleep, then they should wash their hands 3 times before they put their hands in their bucket to make wudhu. Because verily one of you doesn't know where their hands was when they were asleep. Okay? Meaning that when we're sleeping, we don't know where our hands are. We don't know a lot of people when they're asleep, everyone, when you sleep, that is one of the things that breaks your wudu. Does anybody know why? Why does sleeping break your wudu? Is it because your eyes are closed and your wudu breaks? Huh. Because your mouth will stink? No. Mouth stinking is not a thing that breaks, it doesn't break your wudu. If someone has bad breath, even though it's not good, they should use their miswak or brush their teeth or gargle or whatever, clean their mouth. But that doesn't break the wudu. Having bad breath doesn't break wudu, huh?
If when you sleep and you do something
Uh-huh.
on your bed and you
Uh-huh. Good. Uh-huh.
it's going to break up your wudu.
Jazakallah khair. Naam. That's one of the biggest things. When you sleep, you don't, as the Prophet ﷺ said, none of you knows what they do. So when you sleep, your eyes become tired, but the rest of your body relaxes. So people pass gas when they're sleeping. They don't know. You can't help it. You pass gas. And some people, maybe they might do other things when they're sleeping. They can't help it because they don't know they're sleeping. They could use the bathroom, number one or number two. They could, there's other things that they can do that breaks their wudu. So, also, you don't know where your hands have been. So the Prophet ﷺ said, clean your hands first. One of the things that does break your wudu is if you have a heavy sleep. If you sleep, and your sleep is enough to where if you have something in your hand and you drop it and you don't wake up, then you have to make wudu when you do wake up. But if you're sleeping, say you're on an airplane, you're in a car, you're just sleeping lightly, and if you have your keys or something in your hand, you're in a light sleep, and you drop that and you wake up just from your pen or your keys or something, then that shows your wudu, your sleep was not heavy, and you don't have to make wudu. But you have to make wudu from a heavy, solid sleep. So if you go to sleep, like at night, your sleep is heavy. So you have to make wudu in the morning before you pray. And those are some of the important things. There's many, many benefits from this hadith, but I think that's enough for us to know that we should wash our hands. We should also make witr, do an odd number if we use rocks, or even if you use tissue. Because the scholars, some of them, they say, instead of using rocks, people use tissue. I mean, we don't have rocks in our house, but this is like if you're hiking or you're outside. So since we don't have rocks in our house, you can use tissue paper. When you use tissue, you should use an odd number. With tissue, use an odd number. And what's the lowest number of odd pieces of tissue you should use? 3. Jazakallah khair. So always try to be on witr, try to be on the odd number. And before you put your hand in a bucket of water to make wudu, you should do what? How many times according to the hadith?
3.
3 times, Jazakallah khair. And I ask Allah the Almighty to bless us with tawfiq, bless us with ikhlas, with tabat, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.